What is up, folks? Julian Hartwell here, and today I'm excited to present the very first edition of Songstories, which is a series I'm going to just throw up on my YouTube channel about the backstory and inspiration and my compositional process. It's going to be kind of a cool way to get a window into my process as a composer and what goes into me creating a song, whether it's for solo piano or for my band, the JHP, or collaboration or what have you. So thanks for joining me, and let's get into it. So today we're going to start with my latest release, a song that I put out on Leap Day of 2020 called The Journey, which was a two-part movement for solo piano, and actually my first release as a solo artist. The title, like The Journey, I'm sure you can imagine that one of my goals with this piece was to take the listener, that's you, on an emotional journey, and to express the themes of what it's like to feel the emotions of kind of seeing the mountain of our goal, of our dream, of our vision up ahead and being in it for the long haul, which I think kind of epitomizes the path that an independent artist like myself takes. With this piece, I also wanted to really just create an evocative feeling and kind of emotions of like longing, of deep-seated desire in our souls that has a vision, that has an aim, that has an artistic path that they feel like not only that they want to follow, almost that they have to follow. And I wanted to just have this theme kind of running through it that would start in one place and then evolve and transform in certain ways, experience a story, experience ups and downs like our journey obviously has, and then resolve in a certain way. So now I'm going to kind of break down the musical components of how that could be told. Composition has to start with a theme, right? Whether it's just like a piece of a melody or a chord progression or what have you. So the very first initial inspiration that started this whole composition process for The Journey was this. That theme repeating. It's basically a minor 9 chord and then kind of a major-y sort of open sounding chord, and they're just follow consecutive back and forth, back and forth. And that was really like the inspiration, and you need long hands to do it, big hands, because it's an octave of like a interval rather of a ninth, almost a 10th. But what's a cool chord progression without a melody? So then I had to put a melody to it. So what you'll find is that melody keeps coming back in this tune and evolves and then actually moves into some different keys, and it's kind of like getting from A, our starting place, experiencing the journey, and then we actually end with that melody but in like a wholly different key after a whole lot of other stuff's happened. So let's talk about that other stuff. As classical composers especially know, you have to have a theme and then you have to have a development. So this was kind of a place that actually took the most thought in really crafting in this process of writing The Journey, because the development is sometimes the hardest part, because it has to go from, okay, I have my theme, I have my like key bookends, but where am I going to take the listener? Where am I going to take myself in the middle of it, right? Last little statement, here we go. To me, it was like the first foray into new territory, and then it kind of wraps up with and I felt like that was the end of the statement. That was the end of the first development, because then we go right back to the melody. So once that second melody happens, then we have to kind of further develop the development, because it wouldn't really go anywhere if it just did the exact same thing. So I got crafty and I decided to build up more of that initial development with a little more harmonic motion and melody line. So it's kind of like this. So it's like this climbing feeling. It's like now we have our development, but we're going further with it. You know, we have our skill set, we have our tools, but we're like putting in that extra 2 hours in the studio. We're going that extra mile to actually realize our dream that much further. This whole part kind of keeps building up, and then finally reaches a big crescendo moment where it's like it gets to a plateau, gets to a peak, and then it takes in the view, and then it actually surveys how far it's come. So it's kind of like this, if you'll keep that image in your mind. And then we're in a new key. So we kind of went up to the cliff, but then the scenery actually changed, and we ended up back to kind of the initial theme, but now we're in a new key. So this develops and melody gets higher. And then I took the same exact basically melody kind of like idea of the first development, and I transposed it to this new key, and it even has more of a brighter, kind of hopeful almost quality, because it's in this even super brighter key. If we look at the music, it's like all those sharps. That means it's very bright. I also wanted here to speed up the tempo just a little bit, because like it's the brighter we get. I also wanted to create more motion so that it feels like, yes, we're really going for it. You know, we're in that last mile of the marathon, and we see the finish line, and we're racing towards it. Then, as any composer will tell you, any good composer, it's all about motion and build up and tension and release. So we keep going, climbing, and then we're somewhere here, and watch what happens. I wanted this repetition to happen. This never-ending ascent, right? All the way up, and then we survey our surroundings, and then we take that breath of accomplishment, right? And then we finally kind of descend to end this whole first movement. Bang. So now that part one is spoken for, we get to part two, and now I have to create a whole new set of source material to go from. But I want to tie it back to where I just ended from the first part. So I ended, you know, on this really nice C major, kind of 7, major 9 thing. The idea here is we start almost back at the bottom. And then this whole second movement, I wanted to just be like a slow train, building up speed, little by little. Now this next section is kind of the most fun to play for this song, because it's like, it's the real crescendo. You know, there was a crescendo moment definitely in the first movement, but it was a little more kind of somber or something, whereas this is, to me, supposed to evoke just a feeling of like grit and determination, and a feeling of accomplishment, of like just going and going and going. And maybe the progress is slow, but it's still progress. And then this is where I get to have fun, is as a pianist, really build up the dynamics and just let the motion of that carry. And this section was actually the hardest to finalize, because there were so many little details that I kept like getting stuck on. But I wanted just to really create this emotional journey, obviously. And I finally got somewhere where these chords would keep building up, and then they would transition to a higher register to keep building that intensity. Sort of thing. And then I also increase the bass line. Chugging along. And if you notice, I actually start adding melody like which actually came, if you remember, from the first development. So after all this build-up, I have to have somewhere to go. And the idea is that I take us to a new peak, and it has to keep this motion, this energy that I've created. Like this runner just keeps speeding up and speeding up, but I don't want him to hit a wall. I want him to develop him or her. I want them to develop something new. The piece now to go in a totally new direction, but that still keeps the themes and the harmonic motion in a sense. But it's like this ultimate crescendo of the entire journey. And then if we were like at the Grand Canyon before on our first vista, remember that? Now we're at Mount Everest, and it's like not only is the physical view different, but our spiritual view, perhaps, our perspective, our maturity, our sense of ourself is so much more developed, so much more expanded after this last crescendo. And it's like, wow, we are really on a journey. I felt like I could have ended the piece there, but something was still telling me, no, I want to recapitulate, which is another classical compositional device, which brings things back home. But now it's in a new context, and literally I'm in a new key. So it's like we made it all the way up here, and now I have this kind of vision of it's the leaf floating down slowly from the mountain, but it's not like it's going backward or going downhill. It's new. It's changed in some really great positive way because it's made it through the journey. And now I just bring back these chords. It's like D minor now, G. I also got to slow it down because it's reflective. Then I finish out the journey with the melody again. Slow the tempo down. Last statement. And those last chords to me just like kind of say, I'm not necessarily done, but there's more to the journey. So I hope you enjoyed this song story of the journey, and I just want to remind my fellow artists, creatives, whatever you do, whoever may be watching, that the journey is of course a marathon. It's not a sprint, and it really is all about patience. You know, this particular piece clocks in at something like 9 pages, and that took a while to write and really get it to where I want it. I just want to remind you guys that it's all about patience, it's about endurance, but it's about being gratified in the process of creating the work, of creating your masterpiece, and loving the journey along the way. So, without any further rambling, that's it for me, and this time around, I'll see y'all for some new songs, and not too long. Peace.